The finale begins with Berlin lying naked on magical medieval stones talking about love and healing energy while listening to Vivaldi. And weirdly, that opening scene explains the entire ending, because Berlin doesn't see crime the way normal people do. To him, robbery is art, love is religion, danger is beauty, and suffering is simply part of being alive. That philosophy drives every major decision in the finale, including the heist itself. On the surface, the robbery is about stealing a priceless painting, but emotionally, the heist represents something much bigger for Berlin. He wants immortality through spectacle. That's why he becomes almost offended by the idea of a simple robbery. He doesn't just want money, he wants headlines, myth, performance, and legend. The robbery on the bridge of Triana is staged like theater. Everything is carefully choreographed. The fake traffic jam, the explosions, the smoke, the screaming civilians, the hidden painting, and the pizza box. Berlin directs the operation like a filmmaker creating a masterpiece. And the funniest part, the robbery technically fails in public. Authorities believe the painting never left the truck, which means Berlin steals one of the world's most famous paintings in broad daylight while making the police think they succeeded. That's exactly the kind of elegant absurdity he lives for. The scenes between Berlin and Sergio quietly become the emotional backbone of the episode, because Sergio, the future professor, represents logic, restraint, and survival, while Berlin represents chaos, romance, and instinct. Early in the finale, Sergio warns his brother about betraying dangerous people. His advice becomes the key to the entire ending. Both sides must always have something to lose. That idea evolves into Berlin's final deal with the Duke. Instead of destroying him completely, Berlin creates mutual destruction. The Duke can expose Berlin, but Berlin can also destroy the Duke's entire empire using evidence of diamond smuggling, illegal trafficking, and stolen art. So neither side can safely attack the other. That's pure professor strategy hidden inside Berlin's emotional madness, and it shows how much the brothers secretly shape each other. Technically, the Duke still keeps the lady with an ermine, his yachts, his criminal empire. So on paper, he survives, but emotionally, Berlin destroys him completely. The Duke's greatest weakness was never money, it was control. He controlled his palace, his image, his criminal empire, his marriage, and his servants. Berlin humiliates him in every possible way. First, he steals 75 million euros directly from beneath his feet. Then he exposes how vulnerable the Duke really is. And finally, Genoveva leaves him. That last betrayal hurts the most because it proves the Duke's power could never force genuine love. By the end, the Duke is left standing in his empty palace, realizing he never truly controlled anyone at all. Damien and Genoveva's relationship starts like a fantasy. Forbidden love, danger, passion, and escape. But the finale slowly reveals something darker underneath. Genoveva doesn't just want love, she wants rescue. Meanwhile, Damien keeps trying to convince himself he can delay consequences forever, but the Duke's terrifying crypt speech makes the reality clear. This affair was always going to destroy someone, and in the end, Genoveva chooses freedom over safety. Her goodbye letter is heartbreaking because she admits she genuinely loved the Duke once, but love alone wasn't enough anymore. That's a recurring theme across the finale. Passion without freedom eventually becomes a prison. Bruce spends most of the season pretending to be emotionally fearless. The trouble idea initially sounds playful and open-minded, but eventually he admits the truth. He only suggested it because he was terrified of losing Kayla. That confession completely changes how we see him. For the first time, Bruce openly admits he's deeply in love. And tragically, the vault sequence happens immediately after he emotionally lowers his defenses. The methane fire scene becomes one of the darkest moments in the finale, because the show suddenly strips away the stylish glamour of the heist. For a few horrifying minutes, Bruce is burning alive, Roy is trapped beside him, the crew is helpless. The robbery stops feeling fun, it becomes survival. Even though Bruce survives, the scene permanently scars the crew emotionally. It reminds everyone that Berlin's adventures are thrilling, but they are also incredibly dangerous. Cameron's ending is probably the saddest part of the finale, because unlike Berlin, Cameron never fully figured herself out emotionally until it was too late. Her final voicemail reveals the truth: she loved Roy all along. But fear, selfishness, and emotional confusion kept sabotaging her relationships. That's why her apology matters so much. Not because she suddenly becomes perfect, but because she finally becomes honest. The tragedy is that Roy only hears those words after she's gone. And importantly, the show never gives Cameron a glamorous death. There is no dramatic final stand, no heroic sacrifice. Just isolation, cold water, fear, and regret, which makes it feel painfully real. The big question underneath the finale is whether Berlin really cared about his crew, because Sergio clearly sees the destruction left behind. People suffer, relationships collapse, Cameron dies, and Bruce nearly burns alive. So was Berlin selfish? The answer is complicated, because Berlin genuinely does love these people, but he loves adventure more. That's the tragedy of his character. He truly believes the intensity of these experiences makes life worth living, and in a strange way, his crew agrees. Nobody was forced to stay. They followed him willingly because being around Berlin makes ordinary life feel impossible afterward. He gives people something addictive, the feeling of being fully alive, even if it destroys them eventually. Santos doesn't betray Berlin. At first, Santos seems like the obvious threat. He suspects the crew, he watches everything carefully, he knows something is wrong, but in the end he protects them indirectly. Because Santos understands something before anyone else, the Duke is finally vulnerable. As long as the Duke had wealth, status, power, Genoveva, Santos could never truly matter to him. But after Berlin tears the Duke's world apart, Santos becomes the only loyal person left standing beside him. By staying loyal during the collapse, Santos quietly secures his own position. It's one of the smartest emotional twists in the finale. The Berlin and the Lady with an Ermine finale isn't really about stealing a painting. It's about people chasing intensity because ordinary life feels unbearable to them. Every character is searching for something: freedom, passion, purpose, forgiveness, excitement, and love. Berlin simply pursues those things more recklessly than anyone else. That's why he's both magnetic and destructive at the same time. He makes people feel alive, but surviving his world always comes with a cost. And the finale makes one thing very clear: for Berlin, love and disaster will always go hand in hand.